Okay, welcome. And again, thank you so much for coming in today to Casa Bella. We have amazing panel today. We try to bring you amazing content that helps you sell not just Casa Bella, but in general downtown Miami, all of the exciting things. Today our panel is on the future of downtown, and Daniela will introduce our panelists. We lost one in a snowstorm, so he couldn't make it, unfortunately, and we lost another one due to a flu. I guess the flu season is around, but we have amazing content for you. So let me introduce you to my team. Probably most of you know somebody in here. So I have Susie Prada, I have Adrian Gonzalez, and there's Rafael Gonzalez, his brother. We have Karen Holz, which recently joined us, and we have Yeti Hanley. And Daniela Gutierrez is also our moderator. She had to step in and cover for our other moderator who got a flu. So thank you so much, Daniela, for doing it. I want just to introduce the project, couple things, why Casa Bella, and why you should bring your client here. So Susie, can you tell us a little bit about Casa Bella, please?
Thank you, Olga. Welcome again. For those who haven't been here, welcome to our beautiful sales gallery and to another very interesting panel. I just want to remind you why Casa Bella is one of the most successful developments on the market right now. We're already 80% sold. And one of the main reasons is the location. So that's what we're gonna, be listening here about what's coming to the downtown Miami area. We're actually on the heart of the arts and entertainment district. The other main reason is because we have the best price per square foot. And listen to this, we start at $900. Average of the building is $1,100 to $1,200 per square foot. The other main reason that we were actually discussing during our sales meeting yesterday is because it is the only residential tower coming to the downtown Miami. So that means that we don't have any hotel component. We don't have daily rentals, but we still have a great short-term policy. So you can actually rent 30 days, 12 times a year. So last and not least, we're already under construction, which is great. So that means that with 30% deposit, you will get 5% commission. So if any of you want to come after the panel and listen to the whole presentation, we still have all type of units available. We sold our 2 upper penthouses, which is great. And again, we already are 80% sold, and we got our construction loan. I'm sorry. So let us know if you want to know more. We're all here to help you. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's begin.
Good morning, everyone. I am Daniela Gutierrez, Vice President of Sales here at Casa Bella Residences. I am very excited to be moderating this and to hear about what's coming to downtown Miami. I'm sure a lot of you guys know, but we'll also be receiving updates. I myself consider this to be the best investment opportunity. I'm not alone. A lot of people share my same sentiment. It really is the most prime location in Miami that's left to be developed. So without further ado, we are joined with Michaeljohn Green, Miami Downtown Development Authority Chief of Economic Development and Strategy. Michaeljohn Green currently serves as the Chief in Economic Development and Strategy of the Miami Downtown Development Authority. He previously served as the Deputy Director of Economic Development for Miami-Dade County, and before joining the mayor's team, he was the Vice President of Community Development at Downtown Federal Credit Union and currently sits on the credit union's supervisory committee. Most recently, Mr. Green helped create the Miami Rise Dade Fund, a county-supported program to assist small businesses ecosystem through the pandemic. That's cool. In addition to working to support the diverse small business community in Miami, Mr. Green is actively engaged in communities across the country, creating various community economic empowerment assets from land trust for affordable housing to payday refinance funds. Thank you for being here. Sam Azar, Vice President of Colliers. We'll give him a nice round of applause. Sam Azar, Vice President of Colliers. Heavy hitter, big time broker. Sam has diversified aptitude in commercial real estate, specializing in retail, landlord, and tenant representation. With 20 years of commercial real estate experience, Sam has successfully advised clients of varied sizes through the boutique and corporate work. Before joining Colliers, he brokered over 100 leases with QSR, wellness, and hospitality clients. Throughout his career, Sam has been an active member of the community. He serves the National Plant-Based Seed, Food, and Wine Festival and Stay Fit 305 news site as a real estate strategist. Sam is a member of ICSC and a board member of Voices for Kids and the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to ask some questions to our panelists, and then you all will have an opportunity to also ask questions at the end. So this is a question for both of you guys. Tell us a bit on how downtown Miami has changed in the past several years.
First of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad to sit next to a friend of mine, Sam. I think that if you live here, you've seen the change in downtown, right? That's one of the easier things to talk about. It's easy to talk about something that you can see actually happening in front of you. I'll scale out a little bit and say that downtown has continued to change because Miami-Dade County is the most recovered economy after the pandemic, not only in the United States, but in the world, right? And that's huge. We've received a host of investment from Citadel and other big companies coming down here. Flagler Street is continuing to be developed and continue to change and is almost finished and should be open soon. We've seen all of the residential buildings and people continue to move down there as we've got the influx of people from across the United States and across the world that have moved to downtown. They have also started to spur some of that change. There's more activity, there's more people walking around downtown, but we still also have the same things that made Miami special before the pandemic, right? The million or so people every month that come here on cruise ships, looking for a place to go, a place to shop, a place to eat. All of that is situated downtown. And I think that unique mix with the amazing flavor, color, and the financial prosperity and opportunity that Miami and Florida offer, you will continue to see downtown continue to grow, and this future is really, really bright.
And to add to that, let me ask you guys, like, how many people lived in Miami 20 years ago or longer? Okay, 10 years, 5 years. Okay, all right, so not too many people in the last 5 years. But if you remember downtown Miami 10 years ago, it was a center where a lot of tourists would get off the cruise ships. They would go to Bayside, and then they would come and buy all kinds of, gifts to take back with them. That's really, really changed. I mean, if you go there now, first of all, it looks like a construction site. Just one big bomb is going off. And that's because there's progress. That's because there's a transition of those traditional businesses to the ones that are coming. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I can tell you what really is the catalyst. And I'm really quoting the founder of our group, Mika Madeline, and she's not here today, but really I give credit to her and her vision and what she started doing 7 years ago is that when Miami got rezoned to allow for 1,000 units an acre, that's where developers said, oh my gosh, we can make money there. And that really spurred the development. So it was the rezoning that now brought in the new money, and the new developments are bringing new residents, and we're going to bring in new concepts. And that's really my job. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
It's also an opportunity zone, right? So developers have been incentivized to build, which is great. And I love that he mentioned that it's a construction zone, right? So that's something that we all say in our presentations. When you guys, sell downtown, you have to tell them that they have to have the vision, right? Because you're not buying, it's not a Brickell, it's not a Miami Beach, it's not a neighborhood that's already, fully developed. It's being developed. And that's why, if you get in on the front end, that's really how investors make money. So next question, why downtown Miami is the most exciting neighborhood in Miami right now?
I'm lucky I get to go before you. It's extremely exciting because of a lot of the things that Sam mentioned and what I talked about, right? The things that are coming to downtown Miami. You see Julian Henry, which is located on Flagler, the Michelin star restaurants that continue to come downtown. There's going to be a Michelin star restaurant on the top of Julian Henry. The nightlife that has opened up there, there's been great investments made by Live Nation. And so there's Jolene, Soundbar, as the nightlife continues to grow, which has always been a staple of Miami. You're going to start to see that downtown. The individuals that live and work and play downtown will be the most eclectic live, work, play space in Miami. I think that if you look at downtown, and for the folks that have been here, the way in which you saw Wynwood change and become what it is now, you will probably see the exact same thing or very similar happen to downtown, minus maybe a little bit less graffiti. But also the transportation, right? Downtown Miami is the only place that has that level of mobility. And I know that the county and other cities are working to change that, but downtown already has that infrastructure right now. So when you think of being able to get around, to be able to let go of your car and to enjoy where you live, downtown offers you that like no place in Miami really does.
So we call downtown the hole in the donut, right? Because everything around it has been developed now, and we are the hole. So and strategically placed right in the middle. You know, so how lucky are we for that? Really, it's the most exciting thing about downtown are going to be the people that are living there now and are coming to live, and that's thanks to you, right? You guys are out there promoting these projects, bringing in new people, new residents, and when those residents move in, then they demand services. And like MJ said, that's where you're getting all these new brands coming. And I can make an announcement today, at least that we signed their opening finally at the old, who remembers the Chat Noir, the jazz club? You remember that? I love that place. So it's reopening. It's an underground, literally underground, but the founder of Club Space, Louis Puig, which is a, notoriously successful nightclub owner, he's opening with some new partners, a nightclub there called Mode. And that's, opening this weekend. When we talked about that, so we gotta go. This weekend it's opening, so that's the latest one we can announce. But we'll announce a little bit more stuff.
And just to add on that, I think Sam talked about the people and the DDA. Our goal and objective is to spur economic prosperity across Brickell, downtown, Adrian Arts District, and a little bit of Edgewater. But when you look at downtown, as the people come, the jobs are there, the retail. And so the DDA is really focusing in the future in our incentive plan to really help activate that retail. So you have the right shops, you have the right dining experiences, you have everything that you kind of really need in kind of a one-stop shop area and location, with also too the mass transit on multiple different levels, whether it's the Tri-Rail, whether it's the freebie or whatever it might be. You can get around, shop, and enjoy the beauty of Miami, very easily and enjoy yourself.
Let me add to that real quick.
The freebie is a electric, what I would say, and they would probably not like this, but electric large scale golf cart that maybe about 6 or 8 people can fit them. You see them on the beach, you see them in Coconut Grove, but it's free. You can hail one via your phone, but also we've created a circulator that goes kind of around an outside perimeter in Miami or in downtown Miami. And so if you see one at a certain stop or location, you can hop on that and it will take you around downtown. There's an app, yeah, and I think it's just freebie. Probably if you type that in your iPhone, but super easy, right? So if you got a bunch of groceries and you don't want to walk X amount of blocks, the freebie can pick you up and take you right back to your residence.
I just want to add to what MJ said is that the DDA, one of the things that I think makes Miami unique, well, we have a lot of great neighborhoods in Miami. What makes Miami unique is the engagement that folks like you, when you have people that want to move here or businesses that want to open, the engagement by the DDA in trying to help those businesses, not just with incentives, which I'm sure you'll mention later, but also with tools to be able to help them navigate the very complicated, system, which is opening a business in Miami. I think you don't see that in any other neighborhood, and I'm really grateful for that. But I think there's optimism, right? I think there's finally like optimism in downtown Miami that we can get through this transition, this reconstruction, and the opening of Flagler, and I think that optimism is it energizes people and it's infectious.
I think we can thank our mayor for that optimism, right? Everyone has started it and we've just run with it. To touch on the retail component, something that we have to overcome when selling downtown is people say, it's not that walkable. There's not that many, at least, where we are, where do I walk to have a drink or to have a bite to eat? It will come, and it will come a lot sooner than they think, right? And that's why you're buying at this price per square foot. If not, you can go somewhere else and buy at, $2,400 a foot and have, a million options for all of those. So, it's coming and it happens a lot quicker than people think, which I think is important to relate to your buyers. Where do you see downtown in 10 years?
I personally think that Miami-Dade County has the opportunity and is a global leader in entertainment, arts and culture, and finance. I think that this is the greatest place probably in the world to live, work, and play. I think that when I think about economic development, the only place that I probably can really compare Miami to would probably be something, Singapore or maybe even Dubai. And I don't love the Dubai comparison, but when I worked at the county with the mayor, you would be blown away by opportunities that were only looking at Miami or Dubai. Those are the only two options what they were looking at. I think that in 10 years, some of the things that we talked about on a retail perspective, they're already there. If you haven't gone and visited Julie and Henry, you have to see it. Because I think that once you see it, you realize the investment that they've made and what's going to come around them. When you look at Jolene or the Sound Bar or the Jazz Club that Sam is talking about that just opened, you see those folks start to make those investments. You can connect the dots. Similar to when you looked at Wynwood years ago and you start to see those investments, you start to see those places popped up, you can connect the dots and then what reverberates around it, right? Once one ball starts to move, the other ones start to kind of follow along with it. With the transportation, and then with the events. I think that Miami is the only place in the United States that's at every single sporting event that exists, right? Whether that's F1, NBA, football, we have everything, right? But that goes outside of sports. Wadapalooza was just last week, and if you didn't get the opportunity, it's a CrossFit competition. I went, and it was amazing just how well it was done. They had a barge on the actual water, and people were competing in CrossFit competitions on a barge in the water. And it was amazing. It was beautiful. And when you think about that and the content that will provide across the United States and across the world, it's the most beautiful backdrop that Wadapalooza will ever have. You have Miami skyline, and then you have the bay on the other side. I think the opportunities for Miami, and especially the opportunities for the Central Business District and downtown, are limitless. The conversations that Sam and I are both involved in of folks that are looking to make an investment to come down there. We all know that the Waldorf is opening up down there. The Knight Center will shortly, in a couple of, probably about a year, go under a massive redevelopment. And that building is compared to, again, another building in Dubai. I forget the name of the building, but the building that has the crosswalk, probably like 100 stories in the air. I think that we've all seen that building before. Very similar building will open up, and it'll be a cross between hotel, residence, but also to a huge amount of retail. I think that Miami has the opportunity to sell retail experiences, as we all are in the design district, like nowhere else in the world. People come here and they want to have a good time and they want to shop. It's a great place to live. Everyone, if you've lived here and you're from somewhere else like myself, I lived in Seattle for 5 or 6 years. The 5 or 6 years I lived there, maybe 5 people came to visit me. I moved to Miami, 5 people will come see me in 1 month. My couch is the most slept on couch in all time, right? And I think that you'll continue to see that. You'll continue to see people want to be here. What Miami will be in the future and what downtown will be, I think that we will all be shocked and surprised. And it's from working with folks like yourselves, partners like Sam, we all have the opportunity to be a little push and a little nudge in this going in the direction that we all can really be proud of.
That's why you got to get a couch that's really uncomfortable. Switch set like one night and they're gone, and then you can go back to normal. I'll give you some quick data. Downtown Miami today, in 10 years from now, there's 14,000 residences. There's 16,000 residents under construction. And that'll be probably about 5 years is what we're thinking, right? So it's just population is going to more than double, right? Miami is one of the only places in the country that our office market is surging. People are coming back faster. And all of those companies, financial companies from New York and Boston and Chicago that you hear about, they haven't really gotten here yet. They're pre-planning, so things take time. I can tell you that Flagler Street, there's billions of dollars of redevelopment and construction, and we're planning on turning that into one of the great cafe streets of the world. And I could tell you about some of the people we're talking to, amazing chefs, amazing brands. So the actual street, let me be very clear. it's opening up in phases. If you went to Julian Henry's, that one's open to pedestrians. That one will open for vehicles once the next block opens for pedestrians. So, that could be, as little as 3 months, we're hoping. And then every 6 months after that, with some expected delays, right, guys? I mean, well, we know how it is. It's South Florida. Construction is not easy. We gotta, be patient with folks. Sometimes it's not very easy to do that, but we have to do it. We're doing it. And so will we be the design district with retail and shopping? No, there's only one design district, the partnership with LVMH. I mean, that's what makes that so unique. But there are other amazing, independent, smaller, boutique Latin American fashion designers that would love to open in Miami. They're not going to come to the design district. Hopefully they'll come to downtown Miami. I know that Man of Fashion, their goal is to make Miami the Latin American capital of fashion. And there's a lot of money behind them. And by the way, they have a great building now with about 33 fashion designers that have taken space that are all on site, selling retail. They're doing all of their manufacturing. It's really amazing. I'd love to show you. By the way, let me quickly say that it's on Flagler Street. Yeah, it's in what we call the courthouse district. Now, I'm glad you asked that because downtown itself has its own little neighborhoods. And so I'll take the opportunity for you guys, if you ever want to come get a tour. I'm famous for my tours. In fact, I have one later today, and then we're ending up at your office with a New York investor. That's why we wear soft shoes, because we pound the streets. So I urge you, please reach out to me. And if you guys want to come and get a great tour, about an hour, and end up and have some lunch or something or a coffee, I love to do that. It'll really give you like the behind the scenes of what's going on. And I can probably share with you a little bit more intimate information than I can here. But lastly, I can tell you this because, it's public, is that Formula One has partnered with the owners of Putt Shack and Top Golf, and they're doing 10 25,000 square foot arcades. They have chosen Miami, so we're lucky with that. And now they have chosen downtown Miami over Brickell and Wynwood, two amazing. I was a huge part of both of those neighborhoods in the last 20 years. They've chosen downtown Miami for that location. So, boy, is that exciting for downtown Miami.
Sorry, and just to add on to that, I think, please take Sam up on a tour or our office up on a tour, because like I said before, you guys are all smart. Part of being a real estate agent is being able to connect the dots, right? Being able to connect someone to the home or investment of their dreams and what they're really looking for, right? You're experts at that. If you come see downtown and you see Julian Henry's, you see what Man of Fashion is doing in that building, you will start to connect the dots because some of the pieces are already there. We're not trying to sell you on something that we hope that happens. We're trying to tell you what is moving and what's moving down the path. So I think that if you come see those things, you will see that. The last thing that I'll say, Sam threw some great points and great data. I used to work in wealth management. There's a saying, follow the smart money. Ken Griffin said that Miami has the opportunity to be the financial capital of the United States. And if you're the financial capital of the United States, you're the financial capital of the world, right? You never bet against the smart money. I would argue that Ken Griffin has almost never lost. If he says something like that, it's going to happen. And it might not happen at the top most biggest idea, but it's going to happen in some shape or form. They're building a trading floor in Wynwood. You build a trading floor in Wynwood, the amount of Latin American and global financial firms that will be able to save millions and millions of dollars by opening up an office and being able to trade there on save their money on all the ADR fees is huge. That potential will only grow the commercial real estate in Brickell, the commercial real estate in downtown. And then where are those individuals going to live? I don't know. I live close to my office. I enjoy it. You add all of that, Sam and I working on pushing the appropriate retail downtown, and it explodes. And so I think that if you get that opportunity, please take up my office or Sam and come see the tour, because I think once you see it, you'll be able to connect those dots and kind of have your really own vision of where downtown Miami can go.
So two things. I think that's a great idea. We'll organize it. So we'll do it. We'll get sprinters or some sort of, those cool party buses you see going with the open tops, like the ones that they have in New York, Chivas, whatever they call them. And we'll make it fun and we'll do a tour. So we'll give you guys a date on that. We'll organize it. Second, the trickle down effect. I have I'm sure you guys have a lot of buyers that say, oh, well, they're building so much, right? There's so many new buildings. There's so much. Who's going to fill these spaces? There's a trickle down effect. So when you see Citadel, when you see Microsoft, Baker McKenzie, huge institutional moves, first the higher ups they come, then they move their, C-suite, then the families, the friends, typically, the men go first if it's the men, or the woman goes first. Then they bring their spouse, then they bring their children. They say, listen, I'm not ready to take my kid out of school just now, but maybe in a year, whatever it is, there's always a trickle down effect. And that's the way that we kind of remedy that concern when people get kind of squirmish saying, listen, there's so much development, who's going to fill these spaces, right? This question is for MJ. What are some of the initiatives and projects that have and will continue to make a mark in downtown Miami? And what is the timeline for completion?
Well, I don't think downtown Miami will ever be complete, right? I think one of the great things about Miami is there's always something new and some new development. When my friends call me, all the ones that sleep on my couch, I say, oh, when should I come? Every single weekend is a good weekend in Miami, right? Last week was Wadapalooza and whatever it was. This week will be something else. So there's always a good time. And I don't think the development will ever stop. But where we are at the DDA, we are changing and rethinking our incentive program. Our incentive program in the past has really been focused on commercial real estate, and I would argue mid-sized businesses, right? So we give them financial incentives, dollars, to move into those office spaces. We are changing and diversifying that, right? And so we're looking at investments in ground floor retail, investments in startups for them to come and ideate here, right? And so as those startups grow, they will hire more people, they'll bring more people here. We also have, one of the greatest pockets in the United States of investors outside of San Francisco and New York. Then we're also continuing to work on the mid-sized businesses, right? The amount of conversations that I have on a weekly basis with international financial services companies that are looking to come to Miami. We'll have a roundtable in February where we'll host quite a few of those. We had a roundtable of Korean, I would call it like augmented reality professionals, right? Really focused around events. The events that are continuing to come here. I think one of the other things that puts a feather in Miami's cap, and we talked about F1, we saw F1 in Vegas. And at a certain point in time in Americans' history, Vegas was a place to be and probably the greatest place in America to have an event. F1 didn't do that well in Vegas. It did great in Miami. This is the place to have an event. So I don't think that things are ever done. You'll continue to see investments and activations happen on the parks. That's something that the DDA is really focused on. We're talking to the UFC and others and bringing some of the activities that happen in the stadium outside into the street so more people can enjoy it, right? So if you are in this beautiful building and one of your children loves some UFC fighter, you don't have to have a ticket to the actual fight. There will be events in the streets, at the restaurants, where you can meet them and enjoy that, right? And that brings communities together. It might make someone a new UFC fan, right? And that's attractive to UFC and the other events that come there. So I don't know if anything is ever done. The DDA has been around for a long time and will continue to push these efforts and continue to partner. And we hope that we can partner with all of you, right? So we can find new ideas and we can find new partnerships that continue to make downtown the greatest place to live, work, and play in the world.
I'll just piggyback something very quick, which is what MJ said is that, yes, call him. Say, hey, I have a great idea. Hey, I know someone in Ecuador that does this. Maybe we could try to bring him to do that. Their office is incredibly engaging, like I said earlier, and it all starts with an idea, right? I think towards the end of last year, I said, hey, I think we should do a Shakira mural. And it was just something very easy to it's going to turn into something much bigger, which, by the way, we need to follow up on that. So it all starts with one idea by one person, then you bring it up, and then the group, gets optimistic about it and starts moving it forward. So please bring great ideas. We need them.
Speaking about parks, I think one of the things that we're most excited about is the Signature Bridge and the 33 acres of park that are going underneath the bridge. So the MacArthur turns into I-95. There's going to be a gorgeous, lush landscaping, pedestrian, water fountains. What's the time frame on that? And the actual arches, like the aesthetic component, is that going to happen sooner than 27, or is it on the back end? How aesthetically, what's the time frame on that?
Someone who's financed millions and millions of businesses and millions of dollars of construction, we all know that always takes a little bit longer than we would hope, right? So I don't have the exact timing on that, but the timing and what we know is 2027. But I think the thing to think about is when that does happen, the connectivity, to be able to go from basically the end of Edgewater all the way to Key Biscayne on a beautiful, lush park that you could see the water, I think would be amazing. To be able to then take and wrap that around to the other side of Brickell and go under the underdeck to the underline is amazing. And when you talk about connecting communities, when you talk about people that are moving here in that second and third tranche that have families, a place for their kids to play, a place for their kids to walk, the basketball courts that'll be there is where you can find me. I think all of that will, again, continue to make that a really, really great community. I think that right now at the moment, because of some of the construction that's going on, some of the traffic, the community is a little bit bifurcated, right? Everybody doesn't get to see everybody. I would argue, you might be friends with someone in your building, but the building 5 blocks up, you might not know anyone there. Once this connectivity kind of happens, you will meet those people at the park. You'll have the same golden doodle as somebody else, 3 or 4 blocks up, and you'll be able to make those friendships. And those friendships are what make, in my personal opinion, life great, right? The sun and the fun and all of that is wonderful, but the beautiful sun is more beautiful when you have someone next to you that you care about that's able to see and share that with you, right? And I think that those parks will be able to do that. So 2027 is a timeline. The DDA is doing everything that we can to make sure that that happens on time. But whether it's a little bit early or it's a little bit late, again, like we're saying about downtown, it's going to happen. And when that happens, everyone will reap the benefit.
And 3 years goes by very quick, as we all know. Humans crave connection, and that's another thing when you guys talk to your buyers about downtown, everybody always says, where do I walk my dog? Where do I stroll my baby? The park will give that, right? Which is wonderful. This question is for Sam. Despite post-pandemic challenges, downtown office market remains one of the hottest in the country. Who are the companies moving to Miami and why?
Well, I think that there are a lot of small to mid-sized companies. A lot of financial institutions from Latin America continue to move here, but it's the Citadel. That's the big the big gorilla in the room, right? And that's and by the way, Citadel's taking space in Coconut Grove. They're taking space in West Palm, Fort Lauderdale. I mean, they're taking space everywhere. They're so large and it's such a machine. I don't know if you guys know the whole story, but they purchased from East Coast Realty a Bayview lot for $340 million, and they're going to do their headquarters there. And that's probably still about 5 years out, but they're moving in to offices now, and they're starting to move in. It's going to be a trickle down effect as well. And I'll piggyback for what Danielle said earlier, which is when those folks move here, they bring so many people with them because they require so much services, so many goods, so many things. In fact, I can tell you that Tribeca Rooftop, which is a really well-known event space in New York, they've engaged our offices and they're looking for 50,000 square feet of special events space in downtown Miami. They want to be in the downtown area. Specifically, they're like, all of our clients have moved to South Florida. So we need to do, weddings and bar mitzvah down here. And so that'll tell you the effect of the trickle down, that when all those folks move, all of their people have to move with them. And yes, the office market, I mean, I don't have to tell you, Miami is the one place that kind of won. We had a big W. I'll give you a figure. In our building, where our offices are, 801 Brickell, better known as the Komodo building. Before the pandemic, we were at $60 a square foot. It's funny, right? That's the way it is. By the way, the number one restaurant in sales in the country, Komodo, $42 million. Number 3 was Swan. More than Joe's. And number 3 was Swan in the design district. That's like insanity, right? I can tell you, so we were at 60 before the pandemic. We just did a deal with a Spanish bank for $135 a square foot. Think about that. That's like a fortune made in 4 years. That's the absolute record. Yeah, it is. So it's going to continue. Our office group is incredibly bullish, and they should be, because more and more companies need to come support those big companies.
Just a question, kind of a little off topic, but school. Mhm. Tell us what's going on with schools, because I know, especially New Yorkers, you're saying, they complain that there's not enough, good private education. Are you in talks with anyone?
So I will say the TDA has made investments in two schools. One, I know the name is Matter Brickell, which is towards, I would say, the edge of Brickell, close to 95. And the other school, please forgive me, I forget the name, but we're continuing to look for those opportunities. I think space is obviously at a premium, but those are two really good schools that are in the area. And Sam, you might be able to add a little bit more onto that.
I don't know the name of the school. My kids are in college now. That just sounds crazy. But what is the school next to Icon? What is the name? The Icon Brickell. I know that they're leaving there and expanding to Omni in 50,000 square feet. So it's a big deal. Not sure about that yet. It won't be like in the next year, probably 2 years. We're also in talks with Cartagena International School. They're going to be looking for about 30,000 square feet. But let's say how it is. Schooling is a problem. In fact, I read a great article in Vanity Fair. You should look it up. That talked about that a lot of New Yorkers actually went back to New York because they're like, man, if our kids can't go to school in a place that we feel like it's quality education, we're going to go back. So it's a serious issue that we have to tackle. And Moish Mana and I were talking the other day, and we're like, hey, I appreciate all the work you're doing, Sam, bringing me really cool concepts in restaurants. But remember, we got to educate our kids. So it's so serious, and I can tell you that it's we're talking about it every day. So hopefully we'll make some better announcements in the future.
Hopefully the next panel that we have something good to report. Miami is known for having a very strong car culture. What are city's plans to make downtown Miami a more walkable, accessible, connected, and inviting place to be?
And so transportation is a huge focus for our office. But I think it's also, a huge focus for the city, but also for the county, right? Being able to transport people all around Miami-Dade County. You see the Tri-Rail just opened up, I think, last Friday in Miami-Dade County, right? So that connects, from Homestead all the way up to West Palm, and I think probably actually Orlando. You have the Bright Line that also runs on that same track that all comes downtown to Miami Central Station. I think that's also a thing to really look at. Miami Central Station, great investments have been made by the Bright Line. There's apartments and shopping space there. But as you look at it, as someone and you guys being able to see the future and see opportunities, there's still opportunities for that to grow and for that to have additional retail and commercial spaces in there. The freebie, we've made investments there, and that's an easy, free way to be able to get you around. And then there's the Metro Mover, right? Which is also free. You're able to get around from downtown Brickell to right before Edgewater, right at the Army CRA for free. We are also in conversations and talks. It's a little bit more difficult, but also for a water taxi to be able to go from downtown to the beach. And so if you think about that, I think there's two pieces for that. There's the connectivity for the individuals to be able to live and move freely around downtown. But there's also the connectivity to individuals who do not live downtown to be able to get there, whether that's to live, work, or play, right? Or to spend money. I think that one of the great things about New York is the subway. And the subway, truthfully, is an economic mover, right? If it's easy for you to go to Brooklyn to Manhattan for a few dollars, you're more likely to eat in Manhattan, as opposed to trying to take an Uber or drive yourself and pay for parking. I think that you'll see those same things happen, right? So for the restaurants and the other economic opportunities that happen in Miami, you'll be able to see people who live in Homestead take the train to downtown Miami for whether that's events, basketball games, what have you, and then go back home. You'll be able to do that obviously on the other end. If you wanted to go to a restaurant in Homestead or go out to West Palm or whatnot, you'll be able to do that simple and easy and enjoy yourself, read a book, work. And so we're working on all those things. I think that the difficulty is that Miami very much is a new city. When you think of New York's heyday was probably in the 20s or 30s, right? California was probably in the 40s or 50s with Hollywood. Miami's is right now. We all have the opportunity to be a part of a major city in America and its true defining moment. We all have an opportunity right now to shape that. None of us were alive when those other two cities were really having their defining moments. But with that, the challenge does come that the infrastructure investments on mass transit weren't made in the past because there weren't this many people. So we do need to be forward thinking. The one thing I will say in my time at the county, they are at least allowing the runway, probably quicker than any other city, for, there's a more scientific word for it, but flying cars, right? And so as we look for the future and what that looks like, they're trying to lay the groundwork for that because it is difficult with the real estate investments that we have to be, there's no way we could build a subway here. It's not possible for a multitude of different reasons. But we're doing what we can. And I think that as people come and the freebie, the Metro Mover, the Tri-Rail, the Bright Line, you'll be able to move around downtown without a car. And if you have a very nice car, you'll be able to go places, whether that's Opelika Airport or somewhere else, and really be able to enjoy that car. And a car might be more of a luxury fun thing as opposed to your main mode of transportation.
My famous tours always start in my office, and we get on the Metro Mover to go downtown. So many people are like, "Oh my God, this is my first time being on this thing." And I'm like, "Yeah, what do you think?" Yeah, they all love it. I took a date on a Metro Mover. That's how much I believe in it. So it worked out really well. Doesn't work out well all the time. Anyway, it's really easy, and it's intimidating at first to learn it, but once you do, it's just like so easy. So, you know, I urge you to do it. Al Pacino to Keanu Reeves and the Devil's Advocate said, learn the subway. It's the blood of the city. And that really is. New York wouldn't be New York without the subway. I mean, it's just a fact. And, you know, I'll add also to what you said, which is Miami is a city, and I'm sure you guys know this, but we'll just say it again, and I have to say it. It's a welcoming city. It's a city of optimism. I tell people, what's the greatest thing about Miami? Optimism of everyone. We're all happy that we're here. We all want to make this city great. And that's infectious. And we have to continue to talk about that because what MJ said, how lucky are we to have the opportunity to be part of the next greatest city of the US, if not the world? We're doing it. You're doing it. And so, you know, we have to talk about that, and we have to talk about that with that growth, there's real challenges. And then we need to just kind of downplay that because it's just reality. And we can talk about that all day, but let's talk about the good things Miami has. And our public transportation really is actually pretty good.
And if we didn't have the opportunity or the ability to be able to deal with those challenges, right? I think that that's one of the things we talked about schools and that being a challenge, but the state does have some of the best charter school rules, right? And to being able to open a charter school. And so that leads the opportunity. I think that the optimism and opportunity go together, right? Miami and the state of Florida offers businessmen and women ultimate opportunity to be successful, right? And so as people continue to move, I think that that opportunity will match with the demand, and people will open up charter schools and find the appropriate space and be able to do so. And the DDA will support them in being able to do that.
Elon Musk had proposed an underground car tunnel. Did that move forward? Do you guys know anything about that?
I do know, unfortunately, more about that than I would like to know. It's just too expensive. And I think the thing about it that maybe wasn't fully understood at the moment, right? When you're building underground in Las Vegas and Arizona, that's, you know, sand. We have limestone and all of, you know, I think that one of the things that is beautiful about Miami is the diversity. And that diversity is in every single aspect of life. The diversity in people, the diversity in business, the diversity in sports, and the diversity of agriculture or environment, right? The Everglades is the most amazing, most diverse foresty thing that there is in America. The system and the diversification of animals that live there and work together, same thing in Miami. And so I think not understanding that full complexity, which is why partners like Sam, you guys, when people come to you, is because Miami diversity also adds complexity. People are different. This isn't a monolith. Everybody's not the same. Everyone doesn't speak the same language. We all don't wear the same thing. And so you do need someone to help you understand that diversity. You would never go to the Everglades, I would argue, alone, right? Either the mosquitoes would get you, which is what I'm most afraid of, or the alligators. I'm not going far enough for the gators. But you would need a guide. And if you have a guide, then you're really able to enjoy the beauty. The same thing, I think that you need a guide. And unfortunately, that's just with what we have below us, not possible.
And because I want to give you guys things that you can take away and help you tell this story and help you get more people to buy more property in Miami, especially at Casa Bella. Is also what the state legislatures are doing in Tallahassee for us. My friend, Representative Vicky Lopez, who is our state representative for Brickell, by the way, I got to bring it to the office. What her passion and what she's trying to do for Miami to make sure that this is a great place to raise a family, that businesses can come here and thrive. I mean, when you got to talk to her, and she's got very accessible. She's our state representative. She represents all of Brickell, Little Havana, half of downtown, and Edgewater, which is our area. So, her, I guess, just her passion about Miami is something that you also have to understand that is happening at that level.
Okay, this is going to be our last question. Miami World Center. Most of the pre-leasing is done, right? How do you see that changing the area and timeframe wise for the next phases of delivery?
I think that that's kind of one of those things where, come take the tour. If you haven't seen Miami World Center, what an amazing, great development, right? Also something that was talked about for a while that maybe took a little bit longer than some people anticipated, but it's still here and we still have it, and it's beautiful. The Paramount building is amazing. And as you see the ground floor retail there, what I like to think is, we all know the excitement and fun that Brickell is. And if you want to hop over, let's say the Central Business District, and you look at Miami World Center, I like to think about that as more traditional, big box kind of names and brands as far as the stores that are there, Lululemon, Sephora, and the other folks, Container Store, right? Like names that we see all across the rest of America and the world. And then you've got the Central Business District or downtown, right? And I think that with what Mana and Mana Fashion is doing, you're talking about the true, real flavor of Miami, right? Similar, again, when you look at Wynwood, before the great big boom and all of that, there were no real big brand names in Wynwood, right? There was all these independent entrepreneurs with a lot of flavor. And that's why people fell in love with Wynwood, right? It was unique. I think that you will see that same uniqueness matched with amazing developments and buildings downtown, and you'll have that flavor. And so the opportunity that you have to kind of go between both of those and decide, as someone that lives in Casa Bella, what do I want today? Do I want to shop at this big box brand name place, or do I want more of a boutique feel today, or do I want to go down to Brickell and have a party? And I think that Brickell City Center is my favorite, I guess, mall development in America. It's beautiful. And I think that that's a great place to take people, if you do ride the Metro Mover, to take people to that beautiful, amazing development and be able to take them back to their unit or home or wherever they park their car. It's pretty awesome. And it's simple, easy, and free. And it comes every like 5 to 7 minutes. And so we're super excited and high on the development. Nitin was on the board for the DDA for quite a while. And that's only just going to add to the robustness that is there and is all of, I guess, really the DDA area, right? You've got the arts and cultural hubs with the Adrian Arts Center, which you also too can take the Metro Mover directly almost inside of the PAM. You've got the PAM, you've got the, what's the Sequare place called? What's the place right next to the PAM? The Frost Science Museum. Thank you. I don't have any kids, so I only go there for meetings. It's amazing. If you haven't gone, you got to take people, see the stingrays, do the whole thing. But all of that is right there on the Metro Move. And you think about all of the things that you really kind of have in almost maybe a 1 or 2 mile radius. It's pretty amazing and pretty exciting. So we couldn't be more excited for that development to continue. And as the next tower goes up, again, that's only more residents and people moving to downtown Miami to frequent those stores and shops to continue their success. So one, that they stay in business, right? They continue to provide great services.
I think you and I are going to go to the Frost Science Museum. Get tattoos there. That's what we're going to do. And just really quick, one tidbit about the Park West neighborhood, where World Center and everything.
People use downtown interchangeably, right? There's Park West, which is south, and I never knew this until I got on Casa Bella, and I'm born and raised in Miami, so it's interesting. South of MacArthur, right, is Park West. North of MacArthur, which is where we are on 14th Street, Adrian Arched, that is technically Art and Entertainment District. It's all downtown, but little nooks, right?
And then you have Bayside, which is its own animal. Then we have the Central Business District, which is that historic area. Now we're talking about the Courthouse District. You know, we talk about that area now. The Bright Line neighborhood. And then Brickell, of course. It's got its own little flavor. But one takeaway, this is going to be short, is that Lululemon will open in a city, in a town, an area. And, they're very cautious not to cannibalize their customers, right? Because that's what in retail, you can't do that this way. You figure out your demographics, how many people, how much money they have, who's going to come. Lululemon's going to be in World Center. And Lululemon is in Brickell City Center. What does that tell you about the power, the buying power of our demographics? You should tell your customers if they're not sure about investing in that area. That'll tell you about the power.
The downtowns of every city in America are on a decline. Every single city, for the exception of Miami. When I travel, whether it's a conference, speaking engagement, or some of the consulting that I do, when you look at other cities, I was in Memphis. Their downtown, the stores don't open and the restaurants don't open until Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they're closed because they don't have enough economic activity. That's not the case in Miami. When you have something that opens up, you have the tourists, you have the people that live here, and you have the snowbirds, all to be able to support those businesses, right? There's no probably better place, and you've seen that in Miami being now the new #1 restaurant capital in the United States. There's no better place to have a restaurant. There really is no better place to have a ground floor retail business than Miami.
So we're going to wrap it up. Do you guys have any questions, comments? Want to come up here?
He asked my favorite question, affordable housing. I've done a lot of work. Miami, because of the Everglades, and we talked about the diversity, we really can't build out. We can only build up. The county has done a great job, and they have basically anywhere around the Tri-Rail or the Bright Line train. If you do build there, you have to build up, and a portion of it, if not all of it, does have to be affordable housing. I know that the county is trying to make investments and do what they can. I know the city is trying to do what they can. Some of that, we do need everyone to be civically engaged. As we have all these new people, right? We need people to vote. But affordable housing is an issue. But one of the other things, housing is very correlated to supply and demand. As Sam talked about, all these new units coming on, we see all the units coming in Brickell. Hopefully that will bring some downward pricing pressure when you talk about apartments or condos, right? As they begin to open up on kind of the more of that middle tier. As far as single family homes, I do think that for a while, there will still continue to be a bit of a difficulty because again, we can't build out. There is a lot of space in Homestead, but that's why it's really important to have that connectivity so individuals are, if they do want a single family home with a yard, they are able to live out there and be able to get to work easy, right? Homestead, 80% of the people that live in Homestead leave Homestead for work every single day and then they go back, right? That creates an immense amount of traffic. So whether that's work from home, whether that I know some of the things that the county are trying to do is make more jobs and opportunities and businesses out there in Homestead so people don't have to travel so far. But that's something that I think that the city and the county are actively engaged in trying to fix and solve that problem because it is important for everybody to be able to find shelter and a place to live that's affordable for them. Any updates on the plans for Bayside? And do you mean the park? Oh, I do not have the timeline on that. I will say about Bayside, I don't know if you visited the Park 5, is that what it's called? It's a new kind of indoor-outdoor bar. It's beautiful. I think if you see that, you also can see where Bayside is planning to go because that development looks a lot different than some of the other stuff that's been there. So I definitely think that that's worth taking a look. We can definitely exchange information as we get updates on Bayside and that timeline. Definitely share that with you.
Well, I can tell you it's happening because my clients are getting, billed for it, so, so there's a transitioning happening in Bayside too. Some people are going to stay, some people are going to go. Who's been to Bayside in the last year? Not that many people because we're not tourists and there's a lot of tourists. It is dynamic. I mean, you talking about, I sat and we were having a beer and there was people watching for a couple hours. It was like international, super international. It was great. I loved it. He's saying it sucks down there, but I thought it was great. You know, I'm not as cool. It's great. I urge you to go. Check it out. So the Ashkenazi company has committed to a $90 million renovation. You know, I can tell you that also businesses there do incredible numbers, sales numbers. So they're successful. There's a huge demand. I thought the crowd was great. You know, I love tourists. Tourists is money, right, guys? I mean, we welcome them. So I urge you to go check it out.
But Bayside also too is an amazing place for activations, right? Wadapalooza was right there. The amount of festivals and space that offers for people to bring hundreds of thousands of people to Miami is huge. So it's an amazing community asset. I think, as Sam says, and the development, we'll continue to see a change to where people who live in Miami will actually frequent and visit Bayside, and it won't be such a tourist location or a place for the cruise lines, but they'll still go there, right? And so even just think about the economic opportunity for the businesses that are there. They've been making money, like Sam said, for forever, really off of just the cruise lines, right? And the people coming there from out of town. Now you'll have the individuals that really live here in Miami, as well as the people that now will be living downtown, will all frequent there, and you'll start to see a change as well.
Really, the bottom line for your development is that demand is moving at such a rapid pace, the velocity of it. All this product is going to get absorbed. I forgot to say one other thing. MJ said the smartest people in the room, right? The big hedge fund. The banks are the smartest people, guys. They're not lending all of that money. If they didn't do all the research in the world to know where people are moving, exactly from where, how much are they going to be able to afford? Will they have jobs? They know they're not risk takers. So I'm glad to hear that personal story of yours. I'd forgotten you had lived in Weston. But yeah, I mean, who wants to do that every day? That's not luxury. I feel like I sit on panels all the time about luxury. And it's like, no, luxury is not to get in a car and have to do that. Luxury is to live where you work. Luxury is to be able to, you know, one way that you can avoid traffic, don't get in a car. Then you can avoid traffic in Miami.
It's the lifestyle. That's what we're all here for. That's what we're all enjoying. And I think that hopefully what you get from this conversation is that as far as downtown is concerned, what Sam and I are saying is that the lifestyle is only going to get better. I don't have those figures offhand. I do know that it's going well, though. People are really enjoying it, is what I can say. One of the senior executives for the Brightline is on our board, and they've been really, really pleased with the traction they've got, especially from Miami Central Station and folks going out to Orlando and West Palm.
So we're gonna wrap it up, guys. Like at the Oscars, that blinking lights. Time to wrap it up. All right. Thank you, Michaeljohn, and I hope I said that right. And thank you, Sam. And thank you guys for being here. My incredible team.